Welcome to this presentation about providing your child with effective feedback. Today we'll focus on three objectives: identifying why feedback is important, identifying types of feedback, and identifying how you can provide effective feedback. So what is feedback? Feedback is about listening and observing actively, then taking the time to think, and then providing information about how one is doing in an effort to reach a goal. It is not an evaluation. It's information about how someone is doing in an effort to reach a goal or to learn something new. Why is feedback important? Providing students with meaningful feedback can greatly enhance their learning and achievement. It helps the student understand the subject being taught and gives them clear guidance on how to improve. It is one of the most powerful influences on learning and success. When people are trying to learn new skills, they need to receive information that tells them whether or not they're doing the right thing or are headed in the right direction. Without feedback, the chances of learning are substantially low, leaving your student to wonder what it was all about and likely stopping any motivation. What are some different types of feedback? For our purposes here, we'll focus on two basic kinds: positive and negative. It's important to be aware of the different types of feedback and the possible effects on your child. Negative feedback usually brings about negative results. Criticism, using don't phrases and reprimanding or scolding the learner, and sarcasm simply don't help. Phrases such as, "You're just not math smart," or "Try harder," "Don't do that," "You should have done this instead," or "That's wrong," are going to shut down a student's motivation and learning. Positive feedback, such as encouragement, questioning, providing guidance, and giving appreciation, reinforces behaviors and skills that raises interest and motivation, thus increasing the possibility of learning. Remember, the purpose of giving feedback is to improve the situation or the person's skills. You won't accomplish that by being harsh, critical, or offensive. Think of the old adage, you catch more bees with honey. So how can you provide effective feedback? First of all, be specific. General statements such as "good job" are nice, but they don't tell the person what part of the work or the learning was good. Explain to your child what they did successfully and what they need next. You might say something like, "You added those numbers correctly. Now let's see you do the same on the next one." Praise the efforts. Sometimes your child might work diligently on a task and still make errors. Celebrate the diligence. Hard work, perseverance, and attitude are life skills that benefit everyone. Give your feedback without negative feelings. Your child can likely tell when your words aren't genuine. If you say thank you but are actually upset, it possibly could be received as sarcasm. Be timely. Effective feedback is given in a time of learning when there's still time to get on it and to correct it or move forward. Check for understanding and provide feedback throughout the work, not just when the learner's completed a task. Also, some people will need more feedback more often than others. But consider this: feedback on something you already know does little to change your understanding. Finally, leave the pencil in their hand. It's important to resist the urge to pick up the pen or pencil and do the thinking or work for the learner. When you do, You lower the demand for critical thinking from your child. They then learn to be rescued instead of finding a way to solve problems. Now, this doesn't mean that you can never draw or write examples to help them learn by. It just means that we need to let the learner challenge themselves and to continue thinking. Speaking of giving examples, let's look at some examples of positive, effective feedback. We'll start with encouragement. You've stuck with me so far. We can keep on learning. Here are some possible statements that you can use to encourage your child. You can do this. I believe in you. You should be proud of yourself. You are a strong speller, scientist, mathematician, reader. Your ideas are so creative. I see that you're working hard on trust your instincts. You can learn from your mistakes. Take a break and come back to it. You're doing better at that. If you'd like, you might pause the video and write these down, then start it back up to see some ideas for questioning, providing guidance, and appreciation. Questioning suggestions. What is the next step? Tell me about what you're doing here. How did you get that answer? How might you try this differently? What kind of changes might make this more successful? What is the goal? Do you understand what you're supposed to do? Does this answer make sense to you? Do you have everything you need? When you ask students questions, it causes them to stop and think about their own thinking, causes them to come up with the solutions or the next steps or the ideas, instead of it being handed to them or given to them by their instructor or teacher or parent. When you are providing guidance, you are not giving the answer, but rather guiding your learner to move toward success and guiding them to find the answer for themselves. Let's look at some examples. Let's talk about where you might get more information about this. What is the next step? Let's take a look at that again. I see that you're struggling with, let's try it together. What choice did you make to be successful? When you do, then you can do. How about appreciation? Thank you for, I appreciate how you, I'm happy to see you working on, I love it when you, I'm grateful for your, you helped me when you, I appreciate the time that you've invested today in learning about giving effective feedback. I trust that it will serve you well. Ask yourself this. Can I identify why feedback is important? Do you think of the fact that feedback substantially increases the chances of learning? Yes. Can you identify the two types of feedback? You've got this. Yep, positive and negative. Check. What about identifying how you can provide effective feedback? There were lots of examples that you can go back to at any time. One more thing. As you move forward to provide effective feedback to your child, it's very important that you figure out what works for you and your child. I gave examples, but they might not fit your style or the way you speak or your culture. You do you. Keep it positive and with a goal of enhancing your child's ease and success in learning. You've got this. I believe in you.